Ready? Okay, we're going to reconvene open session. I apologize. A lot to do at our last meeting for a while. So we'll get right to our agenda here and start with our land acknowledgement. As soon as I find it here. On the territory of the Confederated Villages of Lashawn, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yokot, the successors of the Southern Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are live and flourishing members of Mount Diablo Unified School District and the broader Bay Area communities today. Please join me in saluting the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so now we'll have review and potential approval of the minutes for the regular board meeting held on June 10th, 2026.
I move that we approve the minutes for the regular board meeting held June 10th, 2026.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by trustee Nzewi, a second by trustee McDougall. And that passes 5-0. Next, we have review and potential approval of the agenda.
Madam President, just one change. We'd like to move item 12.1 to follow item 8.1.
Right?
Madam President, I move we approve the board agenda as presented with the exception of moving 12.1 to 8.1.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Nzewi. Okay, and that passes 5-0. Next, we have our report out from closed session. Discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee in closed session by a vote of 4-0, with one person being absent. The board took action to approve the resignation of one employee per separation agreement. Existing litigation, the board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss the matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1 by a vote of 4-0, with one board member being absent, in the matter of M&M versus Mount Diablo Unified School District, OAH case number 2026010552. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and accorded to the settlement terms. The board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss the matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1 by a vote of 4-0, with one board member being absent, in the matter of audit appeal of fiscal year 2023, audit finding 2024-007 by Mount Diablo Unified School District versus California State Controller, California Department of Finance, OAH number 2025050608, EEAP case number 25-13. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and accorded to the settlement terms. The board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss a matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 by a vote of 4-0, with one member being absent, in the matter of the Mount Diablo Unified School District versus Sherry Day, Contra Costa County Superior Court Case number N26-0632. The board approved a settlement according to settlement terms. Anticipated litigation, the board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss the matter of anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2. In the matter of two cases of anticipated litigation, the board voted by a 4-0, with one member being absent, and gave direction to the outside counsel. Liability claim, the LN, the board met in closed session by a vote of 5-0, with voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by LN against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Consideration to hear appeal of a decision in a regarding student promotion per board policy and administrative regulation 5123. In one matter, the board, by a vote of 3-2, voted not to uphold the superintendent's designee decision regarding promotion pursuant to board policy administrative regulations 5123. Public employee evaluations, the board board members were thanked for their participation in the evaluations for the superintendent and general counsel. Both evaluations were completed by the Board of Education for superintendent and legal counsel. For Suzanne Storicki Kim, pleased to announce performance exceeded, and for superintendent has exceeded standing as well. And that's our closed session.
Madam President, may I have a moment of privilege for a statement? This year, we had 12 applications for the student board member. These were outstanding candidates committed to leadership, community service, and to bringing the student perspective to the board. This year, we are happy, although he has not been sworn in yet, but we are happy to introduce to this board Armando Soto. I believe Armando is here. Please come on up, Armando.
Hi, good evening. My name is Armando Soto. I am very honored for this position. At Mount Diablo, I do run our sports medicine program. I am on the HOSA board, as well as many other of our career pathways. I am a ASB board member for our school's ASB board, so I oversee many of the clubs. I am as well on our classes board as a secretary. I am very honored to be here with you guys and representing the students from all around our district. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Armando.
Armando, I think I can speak for the whole board to say we're looking forward to working with you. And where are we at now? Oh, okay, we are at public comment. No, what about the readmits? Mm-mm. Do we have to do the readmits? Or were they all done? Oh, yeah.
I know you did. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He messed us up. That's what happened.
you missed us.
You did 7.1.
Okay.
Excited.
7.2, the board voted in closed session to readmit student number 01-26. We were voted to readmit student 04-26. We readmitted student 05-26, and we readmitted student 07-26. And the last one, readmit of student 09-26 to our regular schools. Thank you. Now public comment. Jane Balak Enlow. Is it? Tell me the middle part. I know the Jane Enlow well. Balch. Okay, got it.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and community. I'm going to talk on the same issue that I talked on 2 weeks ago because I think it's really, really important. My name is Jane Balshenlow, and I'm speaking tonight not only as a teacher with 35 years of experience, but as someone who deeply cares about the children sitting in our classrooms every day. I'm asking you to reconsider one-to-one Chromebook policies for students before high school, so that's K through 8. And return to classroom sets instead, basically known as cows, computers on wheels, and just that way we still have them, but they don't have to carry them around. Last year, I watched too many sixth graders struggle to put their Chromebooks down. During breaks between assignments, whenever there was an opportunity, they returned to the screen. They were trying underneath their desk. They would do anything to get on that screen. Some became so dependent on having the device that I literally had to take Chromebooks away just so that they would do the work I was asking them to do. That should concern all of us. These are 11 and 12-year-olds and younger. They are still learning self-control, attention, conversation, and healthy habits. Yet we are placing a highly powerful, engaging device in front of them for hours each school day and expecting them to regulate themselves like adults. Some adults can't even regulate themselves with it. Parents already face an uphill battle at home limiting screen time. Schools should not add to that burden. Schools should be where students practice being human together, making eye contact, talking face to face, writing by hand, solving problems, listening, collaborating, and learning to focus. I've also seen changes that are harder to measure but impossible to ignore. Students are less comfortable writing by hand. Some struggle to take notes without a screen. Attention spans are shorter, and many students being disconnected from a device create anxiety. Technology absolutely belongs in education. I do not want to take it away, but younger students do not need the constant access to it. Keeping Chromebooks in classrooms where teachers can choose when they truly enhance learning and then continue loaning devices to families who need them at home so access remains equitable. Our responsibility is not just to prepare students for technology, it is to prepare them. Let's have a little bit longer and give students more opportunities to connect, think, write, and learn without a screen in front of them all day. Thank you.
Mark Jaffe.
Good evening. My name is Mark Jaffe. I'm the president of the Contra Costa Taxpayers Association, and I'm the taxpayer organization representative on the Measure J Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, known as the CBOC. I understand the board is deciding whether to place a $529 million bond on the November ballot. I want to urge you to wait. On June 2nd, voters defeated the Measure B sales tax by a wide margin, and the community college bond fell almost 5 points short of the 55% threshold for passage. Voters are communicating that they are fatigued by tax measures in today's environment of rising costs. Mount Diablo Unified faces an additional challenge. The CBOC has not made a finding that this district's capital program conforms with Proposition 39 requirements. The committee's previous report was negative, and its next report won't be available until August 20th at the earliest, which is past your deadline for placing a 2026 bond on the ballot. Given ongoing concerns about the Schneider Electric contract, the report may also find the district to be out of compliance. I want to be direct with you about the ramifications of this. Absent a CBOC finding that the district's capital program is in conformance with Proposition 39, the Taxpayer Association will oppose this measure because we believe that voters should be sure that the district has spent existing bond money responsibly before approving new bond money. Aside from filing an opposition ballot argument, you should expect us to create an opposition website and post critically on social media. The polling on this bond issue is close. In a tight race, organized taxpayer opposition can be the difference between passing and failing. So rather than rush ahead with the new bond, I recommend that the board work with the CBOC to address issues with the current capital program and return in 2028 with a stronger case. Thank you.
Thank you. Angel?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Mr. Clark. So good to be here with all of you guys. I can't believe this is the last board meeting of the school year. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. Also, I wanted to bring a special concern that I have, especially in our schools, and that is, screens. I get it how it means to, students, especially to have like screens in front of them to help them learn. But I get it what it means to, to limit the use of screens because I know exactly how that feels. But in this case, especially, for kids also in our disability community, sometimes they do rely on them, but it's always good to have like a limit on them, but I understand, sometimes kids need a like understanding what it all means to them in their own ways. But what I investing is that I humbly support the idea of less screen time for all of our students in our schools. I totally get that, because I mean especially who wants to just stare at a screen for 6 hours, and maybe instead of that they can go and chit chat with one of their classmates or friends. I had that same issue before, in schools, especially when it comes to hanging with some of my friends and classmates in school. Sometimes they just want to stare at their phone or look on their Chromebooks and not have a face-to-face conversation. That's how I feel though too, especially for someone in the disability community. For me, especially growing up, in schools, I know how schools has changed over the last couple of years, but overall, it's best for everyone to just have a little less longer time, interacting with other people instead of just looking at a screen just for the whole day. That's what I'm suggesting, because especially with the new school year approaching in August, we want our students to learn better and grow and succeed and learn. But overall, I will strongly support our special ed community in any way, which is why I'm suggesting that for our special ed students, they deserve to have a mentor to help them, whether it's a former special ed student to help them navigate the challenges of what it's like to going to school. And I understand that, and which is why I'm suggesting that our school district should start an alumni association for our special ed students. And I humbly understand that. And I hope you guys, if you have any suggestions or questions, you can always come up to me anytime. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Angel. This is the last one. Jason Dietrich?
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jason Dietrich. I'm a parent of both an incoming Northgate High School student as well as a current Eagle Peak Montessori School student. I'm here today to speak about my experience as a parent at Eagle Peak Montessori School. I feel fortunate that the school exists as a public charter option within the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and I express my gratitude to this board for their ongoing support to ensure that Eagle Peak continues to remain an option, not just for my child, but for all the children in the community served by MDUSD. My parent experience at Eagle Peak has been tremendously positive, and the school has demonstrated the values of community, equity, and inclusion while providing a meaningfully holistic education. I believe that continued operation of this public charter is very important to your constituents and the community. And I would like to thank you again for your support and for the chance to speak with you all this evening.
Thank you. And that concludes our public comment. So that takes us to communications. District organizations at regular board meetings, a single spokesperson can be recognized.
We have an 8.
12.1. Okay.
Dr. Aguili. Madam President, we have item 8.2 coming forward, and this is it is a update on the dual language situation between Bancroft and relocating the program to Woodside. We've received public comment. We've received emails. We've had multiple meetings, multiple presentations on this topic. And so we're going to bring it forward one last time as before, before we, in this board session and go on into next year. So we have Dr. Aguili, who is going to do a presentation. And I know we have some comments. We want comments before or after?
Go through after.
After, okay. So she's going to do the presentation, and we can do the comments and then go from there.
All right, so thank you very much. We appreciate you having the time for this presentation this evening. It's a topic we've heard about since earlier in the year, and we wanted to respond to some more of the work and questions. So again, this thing is rooted in our LCAP goals. These are this year's LCAP goals, not next year, but they will continue to remain the same, that basically all of our students will demonstrate growth in English and English language development and mathematics. That's our number one priority. Continuing again to offer that learning acceleration, social emotional learning, and educational equity for all of our students as we weigh all of our resources across the district for all of our students. We've continued to review this shift over the previous months as we've gone through both the board listening sessions, we've gone through hearing board comments, we have continued our analysis of the data as it's presented and addressed some of the concerns that were raised by the community. Again, that enrollment trends, staffing, facilities and services, and student achievement. There was a statement made that Bancroft is a high achieving school and the children are achieving well there, and that is accurate. Bancroft is one of our higher achieving schools. However, there do continue to remain those gaps for our English learner students. We also want to remind everybody about the enrollment trends, and that is the fact still remains this year that the two-way dual immersion program is comprised of about 67% transfer students and 33% residents. The residents of Bancroft still overwhelmingly are choosing that English-only option. Should we continue the program there, again, we're going to continue that matriculation impact points. And we haven't heard this year, like we have in years past, families coming forward to express their dismay about their children being separated from their peers at those points. Usually by this time of the year, we get people with Foothill and Northgate, that they want to keep their kids together, and it's very distressing for children and families. We haven't heard that publicly, but we are getting those emails to us. We're getting calls daily, weekly. What's my number? Where am I looking? What's it going? So the issue has not gone away yet. It's just not public this year. Another important thing to notice is this year in our transfer lottery, we heard a lot about separating siblings. And overwhelmingly, the siblings, you'll hear more information in a moment, they really have to make a decision between Woodside or staying at Bancroft, and overwhelmingly Woodside, which you'll see. Also, what we've heard a lot about is removing accessibility for our Spanish students, Spanish-speaking students, to access the Walnut Creek School's feeder pattern and limiting those opportunities. So we dug into that a little deeper, and we pulled our information from the CalPAD system. It's also publicly available on the dashboards, those types of things. But what you can see across there is the number of English language learners was at its peak in that 23-24 school year. However, Spanish-speaking students did comprise fewer than half of those children who are English language learners in the Bancroft system. This is specifically Bancroft. And again, so for example, this school year we have 120 children who have listed a home language other than English or Spanish, and 91 listing Spanish as their home language. So again, not something that's dramatically increased over the years through the inclusion of those students within that feeder pattern. What you can also see here, this is a very confusing graph and is going to require a lot of analysis for you. And I tried to make it as simple as possible. But essentially, if you look at the red colored lines, Those are the students who are in our two-way dual immersion program, who are our English language learners. The blue lines across the top are the students who are enrolled in our English only program, who are our English language learners. Because not every child who's an English language learner family elects to have them in the two-way dual immersion program. There are many in the English only program. And what you can see is more of our English language learners, just simply by the numbers, they're higher. They're choosing to go to that English only program, right? And what you can also see when you're looking at that is that it's relatively flat. Both English only and two-way dual immersion reclassification rate has gone up slowly, but then dropped again, as you can tell by those graphs. All right. And you can also see just overall, the two-way dual immersion program is lower in the numbers of kids. We hear a lot about facility considerations, and this is a tricky one for us because every year the program, the two-way dual immersion program, we know is based on the number of transfer applicants. But we also know that as a district, we have control over those number of applicants. We accept those children in to capacity. So things that have happened over the past school year, past several school years, as you can see, we had to remove special day classes from Bancroft. And there's been comments made about that we're moving two-way dual immersion specifically to add special day classes. And I want to clarify that position. There is no plan to add special day classes at this time. I don't believe the climate will support a special day class at this time at the school. There is no plan to do so. We do have a requirement to educate students with disabilities at the school that is closest to their home that offers that program. But we also know not every program for students with disabilities is offered at every school. We do not have plans, as I said, at this time to add those classes back. But should that critical mass come to that, we will do that. We do, however, have a very successful program at Woodside already that does welcome our students with disabilities in their special day classes. We have 2, and I believe next year 3. We have added portable buildings to Bancroft, and we have no intentions of removing them. We have repurposed spaces for that flex space, like we talked about, the STEM labs and those types of things. There's also been discussions about daycare. We heard about that before, and there was a plan at one point to expand the daycare on campus. That is no longer in play. That we were not able to reach an agreement with the daycare provider, so that is still going to remain an ongoing issue. Also, what else is important is we've had at every year, we've had 4 classes per grade level. This year, we plan to have 3 kindergarten classes. However, it does not free up a new classroom because we've had an overwhelming number of TK enrollments. We have 85 scheduled this year, which means we've had to add a TK class already to that site. So we do not have an extra class to add back this year. And again, I wanted to touch on some of the enrollment trends just to give you an update about that, because we had heard concerns, well, nobody wants to go to Woodside for the two-way dual immersion. Right now we have 27, and 27 of them were granted. There's actually going to be 2 more because they had applied for Bancroft as the first choice. Woodside is the second, were granted Woodside, but then did appeal to go back to Bancroft. Again, we've just talked about the exceptionally high number of kindergarten residents also for Bancroft this year. It's not just TK, it is kindergarten. We did this year adopt a program that has commercially available, personally identifiable information to verify addresses. We're doing that for every student in the district as part of our due diligence around residency verification, which is an annual requirement. However, we are seeing large numbers of kindergarten students also enroll in Bancroft this year, again, limiting the numbers of transfers. So far, we have 46 kids applied. We double-checked this number again today and triple-checked it and everything else. 18 of them are siblings, 1 is a parent employment, and 27 of them are preference. Of those, 5 siblings are approved. To date, again, other options that we're considering are looking at, do we have kids for combo classes? Does that work? Is that in the best interest of children? Is that in the best interest of instruction? How does that best serve it? And then does that also continue to create those backlogs for families going down the road? But we are trying very hard to be cognizant of the siblings. And of those ones that are still pending, there's 39 pending. And of those pending students, there are 11 of them who are English language learners and 5 who are Spanish speakers, according to our enrollment records. So again, the idea of limiting the number of Spanish speakers going into the Walnut Creek feeder pattern, there's 5 students impacted. Other options that we did consider, we've talked about this before. We talked about moving the whole program wholeheartedly, moving everything straight to Woodside. We decided not to do so simply because of the impact on existing children. The option that we came up with is the one in the middle, where we are doing that now, where we're moving it slowly over the different years. And then the other third option that has also been discussed while we've been talking about it is moving half of it now, so that then the other families that keeping siblings together was important, that certainly you could do that if you wanted to, right? If there was a program at Woodside, because right now, if your older child's in the two-way dual immersion and you want your sibling to do it, there is no feeder pattern at Woodside, but moving half of it would solve that issue for us. But right now we're planning to go with the middle one, which is that 5-year phase out, like we mentioned. Again, we talked about the families electing Woodside without the option for the Bancroft one, and we want to give honor to that, because by having that option for the two-way dual immersion at Bancroft, that would really be not honoring those people who did make that decision early that they were going to go with us. And then again, we've heard a lot about the limiting to the Walnut Creek feeder pattern, and we've had public comments at some of our community advisory meetings about bad schools and other schools and labeling schools, and we really don't want to create that us versus them mentality and keep that thing going. Again, those 11 children who chose to stay at Bancroft 2 got Woodside, but then they have appealed and still want to go to Bancroft, which we understand, wanting to keep siblings together. However, it is a 7-minute drive down the street. We've had multiple people time it. And again, creating the delays, again, that second year of uncertainty, we would be in that same position next year and the following year. Right now, we're addressing the TK enrollment coming in for this year, but there are several people who've got younger children than that, and we would continue that down that path. We also have new development, which at the time we don't know where that will land. We have received reports making recommendations, but the board has not yet taken action on that residency for that new Mitchell Townhomes development. Also, one thing to note is we're very worried about staffing it. We do have a vacancy right now in the Bancroft two-way dual immersion program. Somebody had transferred. We thought we hired somebody. They didn't have all of the right qualifications, so we do have a transfer. Adding back another two-way dual immersion program would then create 2 staff vacancies at this point. Trying to hire a BCLAD teacher on June 24th would be a bit of a challenge. And 2 more are on the list to transfer out. They have put in those requests. So that doesn't mean that they want to transfer out. That just means they want to be considered. It doesn't mean they will. It just means that they can put their name forward to be considered. None of our English only teachers have come forward to ask to fight for the program. We've heard from one of the two-way dual immersion programs publicly, and that person had extenuating circumstances for leaving. And we have followed our collective bargaining agreement at all times for our staff. And so I just wanted to be really clear on that in terms of transfers and allowing people to come back. There were, again, we know that we have several actions pending right now. We know that the group of parents did apply to see California Department of Education, alleging uniform complaint violations. And the decision that the CDE came back with, this is a quote, is "It cannot be said that the district violated any specific LCAP statutory provision by announcing in January the plan change for the upcoming 26-27 school year. Therefore, the appeals lack merit and are denied." And that was the direct quote from the CDE. And we also know that we do have the Bancroft Dual Immersion Family Association versus Mount Diablo District in Contra Costa County Superior Court. And that complaint did seek a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction to prevent us from phasing out the two-way dual immersion at Bancroft and moving it to Woodside, and a writ of mandate to vacate that decision for us to do that. And that court did deny that preliminary injunction, and we do have to go to court on the 7th of July for the next step in that process. So in case you were wondering where that was. And that is all I have for our updates on that today. Thank you.
Any questions of any board members before we start taking public comment? Okay. Elizabeth Kluick Olivis.
3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Elizabeth Kluick-Olivas. I'm trying to process all the information. So, one thing I wanted to particularly bring up from those slides is the impact on the teachers. I have a son who is currently in the TWI program. If nothing changes, he will be the last class. We already have teachers leaving. How can you possibly guarantee that the program will still be here by the time he's in 5th grade? I mean, honestly, like I also have a daughter going into TK. I'm worried. Obviously, I'm here because I want her to have this program and to have the same educational opportunities as her brother, who was arbitrarily born 2.5 years before her, right? I mean, beyond the fairness, like even for our current students, we were promised there would be no effect on current students. There's already an effect. My son's kindergarten teacher did not come back from maternity leave because of this decision. He had a substitute the rest of the year who was not trained in TWI because of that. We had another teacher leave the 5th grade. Now I just see there's 2 more teachers pending and wanting to leave. This is extremely distressing. We just started in this district and this is what we're dealing with. How can we guarantee our school will maintain the quality? Everyone has agreed Bancroft is a very successful school. Why are you dismantling that? It's very distressing to us as parents. Again, we're looking at, 14 years ahead in this district, and right now it's how can we feel confident to stay here and to want to be here? We specifically moved here for this program at Bancroft. This is not a convenience issue. It's not a 7-minute drive. It's about having our kids in the same school. And also the 7 minutes is not during rush hour. It takes sometimes 15 minutes to even get out of the school area. This is not convenience. This is about the opportunity for our younger students, our younger children to have lifelong Spanish learning skills, their heritage language. My children's grandparents are from Mexico. They primarily speak Spanish. My son has learned so much this year, and I really just want to see it continue. We care so much. We have been here at every meeting for 6 months. I have not seen any other parents showing up week after week after week. Please, we are really desperately begging you to listen to Trustee Lawrence's motion that he proposed in a previous board meeting to just keep 1 class at Bancroft. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Kelman.
Good evening. I'm here to ask that you keep TWI Bancroft for at least 1 kindergarten class next year. There are many reasons to keep this successful program in place. For one, it's an academically successful program both for children learning Spanish and for children learning English. I would love to see that graph compared to other schools in the district. That's not something to take lightly. Second, the program took years to implement. Implementing a new program can be an uphill battle, and it was at Bancroft. It took years of community building, teacher commitment, and creating a culture of family engagement. Now, Bancroft is a wonderful and very inclusive learning environment. You've relied upon older comments from before, and transitions are hard. Bancroft survived the transition, and now our children are thriving. Please honor all that effort, perseverance, and dedication to public education. Please let us keep this program. Last but not least, our school has incredible parent involvement, largely because of the dedication to this program. Parent involvement is not something to take for granted. It would be short-sighted and against all of the research to suggest it'll be easily started or moved elsewhere. Research shows that parent involvement in their child's education is a more powerful predictor of academic success than any other variable, including race and income. Studies show that parental involvement leads to better academic outcomes and better social and emotional well-being. When parents visit their children's school, that contributes to a sense of safety among the students, ultimately improving school engagement. Parent involvement gives teachers the tools to better support their students. Meeting after meeting, you've seen dozens of our community's parents show up in support of our program. You've received hundreds of signatures and hundreds of emails. This is just a small part of the incredible parent involvement at Bancroft. I've shared articles about the importance of parent involvement in EdWeek and greatschools.org with you guys on the board comments email. Please take a look. This is special. It's important. And most importantly, please keep TWDI at Bancroft. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Silva.
So great to see this topic on the agenda after a number of months. I appreciated the presentation from Dr. Aguili. My big takeaway from her presentation is, I think the story is really that the decision to remove the program on January 28th has severely impacted the quality of this dual immersion program. There was an idea that the program would move and it would be wonderful and it would move to Woodside, but we know that's not the reality of how programs work. As has been mentioned, it takes years to get a program off the ground and to get it started. The location of a dual immersion program is central to its success. And to remove the program without involving parents, without involving teachers, now we're seeing the impact. Teachers are trying to leave Bancroft. It's a sinking ship. What does that mean for the kids that are currently in the program? Kids are being forced to learn in English. There's always been 2 Spanish classes and 2 English kindergarten classes. Now there's 3 English kindergarten classes that have been announced. That's one whole class that we know because we've collected the signatures of kids that want to be learning in Spanish, but they're now forced into this proposed English class. And there's been a new TK class added. What was the idea behind the enrollment and decreasing enrollment? If we're adding a TK class, TK is optional. This is such a successful program. So much thinking has gone into the planning and the success. So many parents have made educational decisions years in advance for their kids. Please keep a kindergarten class at Bancroft. I totally support Trustee Lawrence's proposal that we can carve out one kindergarten class. And that's also a takeaway from Dr. Aguili's presentation. Of the 3 English kindergarten classes, there is more than a whole class of kids that want to be studying in Spanish. Their families many of them have made sacrifices, whether it's move or whether it's drive across the district for this program. This is a wonderful, special program. And I'm asking you, please, please support our families. 5 months we've been here, 9 board meetings. We have over 50 public comments today. We really want you to listen to us and to support us to keep this program at Bancroft Elementary for at least 1 kindergarten class next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Brashini.
Thank you. Good evening, board members.
I'm here to speak in support of equal educational opportunity and in opposition to decisions that may result in discrimination or unequal access based on race, ethnicity, national origin, or language background. Statements made during prior board discussions suggested that placing programs in specific schools was preferable because students would hear more languages spoken and because it served a larger population of Spanish speaking families. While diversity should be celebrated, those characteristics should never determine where students belong. The demographic impact of eliminating the TWDI program at Bancroft is significant. The current program at Bancroft allows a path to Latino students to schools where Latino students represent about 17% of enrollment. The proposed elimination at Bancroft and move to Woodside leads to divert Latino students to schools where Latino students represent roughly 75 to 78% of enrollment. Public education is strongest when it brings students from different backgrounds together. I respectfully urge the board to carefully examine the discrimination concerns that have been raised and ensure that future decisions are guided by inclusion, integration, fairness, and equal opportunity for all students. Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes our public comment part of that. If the board members have any questions?
So pardon me, I believe the superintendent and staff are looking for guidance from the board. I will just restate what my belief is that, and first I want to thank Dr. Aguili and staff, Dr. Clark for working to put this on, and Dr. Aguili for the updated presentation tonight. I recognize all of the challenges that have been outlined, but my preference, my belief is that our community would be best served if we narrowly kept one dual immersion class at Bancroft that was limited to Bancroft residents as well as the siblings of current two-way dual immersion students, and that we did that for an additional year, provided we could, one, there was enough interest, which there appears to be, and two, that we are able to staff accordingly. And so that is my belief. That is what I would like to see us do, but I leave it to fellow board members to chime in and give guidance to the superintendent.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have a question for Dr. Geely. Is Bancroft a sinking ship?
Bancroft is not a sinking ship. It is not a sinking ship at all. No.
Can you give more detail as
I'm not sure in which way you're asking me if it's a sinking ship.
there was a claim in public comment that it's a sinking ship, and I think the comment was related to that all the teachers are leaving, and that I'll stop there.
No, all of the teachers are not leaving Bancroft. One of the teachers has left Bancroft and transferred to Woodside per the contract stipulations. Another one left for their own personal reasons. And other people have asked to transfer out, but they have not yet transferred out. So right now we have one vacancy, which is not unusual. We have other vacancies for teaching positions at this time in other schools across the district, and they aren't sinking ships either.
Another comment would imply that parent involvement, parent engagement doesn't happen at other schools, and that parent engagement is strong at Bancroft, and that the attendance and public comment over the last 6 months is an illustration of that. Is it a right would you conclude that there is not the potential of building that same strong community grade by grade as two-way dual immersion is built at Woodside with this same 20, I think it was 7 families that are choosing to continue their two-way dual immersion journey at Woodside?
I would say I spend a lot of time in our schools, and I think parent community, we encourage parent community, we encourage parent voice, we encourage parent volunteers. All of our school sites have activities for parents. Many of our advisory groups, our DLAC groups, our CAC groups, they also encourage parent participation. I would strongly state that parent involvement is not only a factor at Bancroft. I think it's strong across all of our sites across the district in different ways.
I think I've seen it myself. I haven't I don't know the parent engagement currently at Woodside, but I do at Oak Grove and Ignacio Valley. And in fact, it's much greater than any of the schools that I've attended as a parent myself, which is to me always very inspiring because it's such a strong community. I think those were the only two questions I had based on what I heard.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Trustee Lawrence, if the superintendent were to establish a kindergarten class for next year like you recommend, what is your vision for the subsequent year? Because I'm recalling that many of the parents that spoke weren't necessarily, did include some that wanted their children to enroll in kindergarten this next year, but there were a large number that wanted it the following year.
Correct. And so I would look to, can we have two programs? And something I said at the last board meeting, I think by doing this, as Dr. Aguili showed, there are a variety of things, including a more sudden switch versus the 5-year phase in that we've looked at for this program. And so I think we would have to see, is it feasible to maintain two programs at the different schools? And so I would hope, my best case scenario would be that we would have parallel programs at both schools on an ongoing basis. But if there is not the interest, including that there would not be a guarantee, and I would want to make that clear, that if there is a kindergarten class next year at Bancroft, if there are 27 kids in that class, but then for first grade, there's only 17 who want to continue, that might mean the elimination of it for that grade.
I believe we received information that the enrollment was down in some of this, the enrollment for particular classes at grade levels was low. So I'm, guess I'm intrigued why, what do I want to say? It favored a reduced class size in the TWDI program that other classes haven't enjoyed. Would you agree with that?
I'm sorry, could you amplify that?
Because the enrollment was lower at certain grades. The classes were therefore smaller when the other classes at Bancroft may have had a higher enrollment. And that seems like an inequity of itself on the same campus.
And I think that if we cannot support full classes at Bancroft, if there is not enough interest to fully full capacity for the TWI DI classes, that would mean that we can't continue to do that. So that if there is an imbalance, if there is not the support from the Bancroft community and siblings, if there's not enough there, then it would not be sufficient to continue the program.
I thought of one more question, Dr. Geely, sorry. And also, I think this is an information item. Yeah. Back to the performance question, the student performance. Sorry, I'm on your slides, which I realize you aren't. the students by language proficiency levels.
Yes.
And the top is English only versus, and then the blue line is English only, and the purplish.
I'm looking at it.
Okay. Can you just re-explain all of that as the other comment that we heard? And you affirmed that Bancroft is a high-performing school.
In general, yes.
Yeah, and there's concerns around the
differences.
yeah.
So what this is really showing is that if you look at, for example, the bright blue line, English only, English learners, you'll see that that raised slightly. The English only English learners from 2021 raised slightly. All the way, if you go all the way over to 2026, you'll see that that was raised. The next one down from that is the English only initially fluent. And you'll see that that number dropped significantly from, looks like about 85 down to about 70. So the initially fluent number of students in the English only program, the number of people who came in as English learners, they have a language other than English as their home language on their home survey. They were not initially proficient in English on that initial LPAC. That number dropped, which means our English learners are needing more support. They're not coming in with full language proficiency in our English language programs. The next one down is the blue line in the English only program that became reclassified as not English language learners anymore. And you can see that took a little jump in 22, 23, but then it remained about flat by the end. So we're not reclassifying kids in large numbers in our English only programs. But you'll also see in our two-way dual immersion program, that's that bottom number, that maroon number. And you can see that that dropped also, that our two-way dual immersion programs also are not able to reclassify students at higher rates, which one would anticipate in that two-way program.
And I'm sorry. I was going to just question, and it's only been, I'm like, where's Dr. Okay, it's only been maybe it was the last meeting. When did we have the reclassification presentation? Was that last meeting or the meeting before? What I'm trying to go to is like, how does this compare?
Yes, we've had great success with our reclassification at greater success at some of our other sites. That data is not here today, but that was presented at that last meeting.
Thank you.
Yes.
So just a couple points I want to make is that, you know, as I've stated before, we move programs all the time in our district where there's a need, where there's space, where we're overcrowded, where we can staff for all different types of reasons. And I don't. It's not in our policies that we bring those decisions to the board to make those decisions. You all hire staff, and then that's what we do here. In the very beginning of all of this, we laid out several reasons why we are moving towards this move. And primarily, I can go over a whole litany of reasons, but primarily it was a space reason. And so, again, we have a site in Woodside that is under enrolled and has space. That program also feeds in to a middle school where we've invested heavily into international baccalaureate programs. And that middle school transitions into a high school where we've invested heavily in international baccalaureate programs. And so the natural progression of where a student would go from a dual language program would be into an international baccalaureate program. I mean, that is the natural progression. So that is actually part of it, of why we would do that. Doesn't have anything to do with the race of the students. You know, I made a comment, I responded to someone who labeled our school by the population of ethnicities of people who go there. And we don't label our schools in that way. The other reason that why we made this decision is when students leave Bancroft after spending 5 years, 6 years possibly in a dual language program, and they go to Foothill, there is just one class, one Spanish class that is not, it doesn't follow the dual language process, right? It's just one advanced Spanish class where they learn in Spanish. If they continue on to Northgate, then all there is just the regular classes that we have at all of our high school. And I guess there would be AP Spanish that they could take or whatnot. So there's much more opportunity as we go through Oak Grove and Ignacio Valley. So that was some of the reasons. Just recently, this year, we had a whole packed boardroom of parents from Bancroft who were complaining about the lack of childcare spaces at Bancroft. It was just this calendar year when we were in here. And not only that, we received, dozens and dozens of emails backing that up. We also, although they haven't come this year, but every other year they have come to board meetings, and we are getting the emails where we have folks who have transferred into Bancroft knowing that Foothill was full and that Northgate was full, and they then plead that their kids have been in this cohort all the way through, and now they're being asked to go to another place, and that would be devastating for them. So as we took all that and we look at opportunities to make a change, we're implementing this change. And I wish that when the change was announced, that the parents impacted by that would have seen that we were looking to work with them by spreading it out over 5 years and doing that. But we were met with just complete resistance and, and again, complaints, formal complaints, signs that we broke the law, which clearly the state of California, the Department of Ed said we did not break the law. And so that's been an issue. But when it comes to what this is doing to Bancroft, there's a split on that campus. And there's been a split on that campus for many years of dual language and regular ed. And for some reason, they have not been able to gel and all come together. And so last year, the standardized test scores at Bancroft went down in both ELA and math. And this year, we haven't released the data publicly, but when I release it, you're going to see that Bancroft again has dropped in ELA and math, considerable amounts, 7 percentage points. Bancroft is performing lower than all the other Walnut Creek schools, and it's performing the same as a Hidden Valley or as a Pleasant Hill Elementary. And not that, and I said before, we're not making decisions on test scores, but just I want to correct some of the narrative that is being put out there. So what I need to know is, does this board want me to bring every classroom change and every teacher change and every program change for approval, and or does this board trust our processes and policies in that we're going to go through a process and we're going to look at all things. I didn't just get one parent complain and we decided, oh, we're going to move the program, or one parent saying, keep the program, and we just decided to keep it. We gave a 17-page response to their uniform complaint policy, which you take out a uniform complaint when the most heinous, racist, sexist things are when you're being accused of that, the uniform complaint process. They did the uniform complaint against us. We responded in kind, 17 pages worth of information and documenting all the steps we took and all of our board policies. That then went to the state of California, and they reviewed that and said that the district has done everything that we were supposed to do. So I really believe that this is where the question comes down to. We looked at adding a kindergarten class there. I guarantee you we'll be back in this exact same place next year if we do that, because it's not going to stop, right? You add another class, and it's going to say, oh, just one more class, just one more year. We've already spread this out over 5 years. And lastly, I'll wrap it up with this: is there is an extreme teacher shortage of teachers who can do this work. We bring in teachers from Spain. We've been to Puerto Rico. We bring in teachers from Puerto Rico. We have teachers who have BCLADs who are teaching in English only programs. And now if I involuntary transfer those teachers to teach one of our dual language programs, I'm sure that the good president Ortega over there is going to have words with me, and they're going to be written words, and they're not going to be good because we can't do that. So we don't have the capacity to run multiple dual language programs throughout the district because we don't have the staffing to do that, because it's a very technical skill that takes to run those classes. So to run 2 separate programs defeats the entire purpose of why we were ever going to do this in the beginning. So anyway, unless I hear different from this board, we are continuing to move forward with the 5-year transition of the program over to Woodside.
And I guess I just want to close it out with saying one of the parents that got up here and spoke about the importance of being involved in your kid's life and your education, and that's the #1 indicator of how your kids will do in school. That's absolutely correct. And I want to thank you for caring enough about your kids to come to those 9 meetings. I know your kids will be fine because they have you, and they're very lucky to have you. So we appreciate your passion, and I think it's time to move on to the next item on our agenda. Thank you. District organizations. At regular board meetings, a single spokesperson from each recognized district organization may make a brief presentation. Items are limited to those which are informational. Linda Ortega.
Good evening, President Mason, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. And before you leave, I just want to address something that Dr. Clark said. Our teachers work very hard. This program, when it first came up, we negotiated it because we knew our teachers were going to do double the work. And so we do have a stipend for them, but they have to be qualified. They have to be. And yes, they get burnt out. And so I just want you to say the teachers aren't giving up on our students, they're just burning out. And I know they love their students, they enjoy teaching when they're there, but when you teach 2 subjects like this, 2 different languages, it can be overwhelming. So I applaud my teachers who still are doing this work. Okay, after reviewing tonight's school board agenda, there are a few items I would like to address now so as to keep the meeting going. First of all, I want to continue to stress the importance of supporting all our new hires, especially those who do not qualify for a TIS mentor. I saw that on the agenda. You're hiring some PIP. And I just want to remind the site administrators that they need to give all our new hires an opportunity to succeed and to provide whatever assistance these new educators need. As Dr. Clark mentioned, there is a teacher shortage, and we have people, young people, that are wanting to go into teaching because that is their passion. That was their dream. Secondly, I have members who are still waiting to be compensated for their caseload overages, sometimes waiting for months. This is unacceptable. They did the work and deserve to be paid. Employers cannot withhold wages, and you need to pay our members. I also noticed that tonight the trustees will be voting to approve a salary increase for the superintendent. How is it that one employee receives an increase of over 8% while teachers get 2.3%? Custodians get 2.3%. Bus drivers get 2.3%. Librarians and nurses and language pathologists and even site administrators all get 2.3%. This is a huge difference. For years, I have been asked, and I've been with this district close to 25 years, why does Medea and the district don't get along? Well, here's one reason. My members have to spend months and months and months negotiating for their salary increases, even to the point of a possible strike. Even during the bond measure presentation a few meetings ago, it was noted that community members value the opinion and work of our educators, and yet our salary increases are lower. Why? Question. When the state budget is approved at the end of this month and the cost of living adjustment, or COLA, is determined, will the superintendent also receive that increase? Finally, for those who have been watching the World Cup, Miss Mason, I have been touched with the spirit of one common goal, no pun intended. During the World Cup, countries come together for a period to celebrate and share their cultures and their love of a sport. Some teams will win and some will lose, but it's the gathering of the love of the sport that brings these countries together. As I have said over and over again, my goal is to work collaboratively with the district. I have seen small steps, and some of the people in this audience I've worked with, in that direction. But there is still a lot of work ahead of us if we are to win together for the sake of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Dorothy, excuse me, Dorothy Weisenberger? With her cheerleading team?
I think I have one, don't I? Good evening, board, superintendent, audience. This will be the last time that I'm reporting out as CAC chair. So with no fanfare, please. I want to let you guys know what we accomplished, what we did this year, and what we are looking to do next year. With that said, let me start. We had a plethora of different meetings with different presentations, but the ones that stood out to me the most that where parents were really coming that were not our regulars was the mental health. And I wanted to let you guys know that that's a big thing going on, not just in mental health in our schools, but also with our special education. Also, support without stress. So parents are really looking for a place to say, how can we support our kids with less stress? And so I wanted to highlight those two things that I felt as the chair that I saw a big response of families wanting information. And I felt it was important for you guys to know. The other thing is I wanted to let you know that we are starting a task force next year, that it will be for our academic success classes. This is something, a passion of mine that I've wanted to do for a long time, but we're finally at a place because dyslexia is started. We're getting our dyslexia programs going and different things that academic success is like that enigma. And I, as a mom that had three kids that went through academic success, I never quite understood it or to the purpose of it once it got to middle school and high school. So, and I have a lot of families that are concerned about it and how it works. So that is something that the CAC is going to be looking at next year. And I hope that we have support through the teachers and the staff in the administration. The other thing is that we went and saw several schools. Our oversight is looking at the schools and the programs. And so I just want to let you guys know that we went to Valley View Middle School. We went to Woodside Elementary, Westwood Elementary, El Dorado Middle School, Ignacio Valley High School, and Oak Grove Middle School. I wish we could have been more, but we all work outside of the home as well. So making sure that we had time to see schools. And all of these schools was asked by somebody in the community for us to go and see and take a look at. So I just want to say it wasn't randomly picked. Sometimes it is, but in this instance, all of the schools were, there was something that brought us to the place. And I want to say that we were really impressed with our assistive technology class. over there in our DHH program, still thriving. Saw a lot of good things, but the biggest thing that I really wanted to see personally for me was the TK classes. I wanted to see how that was working. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot on the teachers, and especially when we have our special day class, TK. So I just want to make sure that we recognize the teachers doing this job and how hard it is. And it still being new, and I there's a lot of work to be done, but I really tip my cap to the teachers and to the support staff in those programs and classes. I think that is it. Oh, we had our Christmas holiday, which was very successful, and thank you for Linda and Deborah for always supporting us and the board as a whole. We also had our celebration of success, and which was very well done this year. I was very impressed. The other thing that we had was our spring fling, and that was very successful. And I got to give a shout out to Veronica and Nikki and Lisa and Jonathan and the support staff in the special ed department. We couldn't have done it without those people. It was a really good turnout for it being at the end of the school year and all of the school events that was going on, and so open houses and different things that so I was surprised at how many people did come. So I hope that we can continue going in that direction of having those. And I also want to say that next year with Nikki Mora being the new chair, I hope that we can still communicate with the board in a positive way and keep this relationship going. And I hope that much success to the district, to the staff, to the students, teachers, everybody that works overtime doing the job that they do. And I know it's a thankless job sometimes, but I want to say thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Dorothy. Okay, we have one more. Mark.
I'll go there. Good evening, everybody. Dr. Clark and board members. My name is Mark Jones. I'm a representative of Teamsters Local 856. I'm here tonight in support of the tentative agreement between Mount Diablo Unified School District and the Teamsters Local 856. This agreement was strongly ratified by our members and reflects a fair path forward for the classified employees who keep the district running every day. These are workers who maintain the schools, transport students, prepare meals, support technology, keep campuses clean and safe, and make sure the day-to-day operations of the district continue. I want to thank Ryan Sheehy and the district's bargaining team for their work throughout this process. Bargaining is not always easy, and there were difficult conversations along the way, but both sides stayed at the table and we got to an agreement. I'd especially like to recognize our rank and file bargaining committee for their long hours, their dedication, and their advocacy on behalf of their coworkers. This agreement includes wage increases, meaningful improvements to working conditions, and strong health benefit protections, which preserves employer-paid healthcare. Preserving employer-paid healthcare was a major priority for our members, and this agreement protects that benefit for Teamster members and their families. On behalf of Teamsters Local 856, we will respectfully ask the board to approve the agreement tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Ready. That takes us to recognitions and resolutions. 10.1, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-81, authorization to make year-end intra-budget transfers. And I'll just let Dr. Clark take the rest of these.
Yeah, and these are just a lot of business that needs to happen for the last meeting. So hopefully you've had a chance to. I can read them. We're good. Okay, unless Brenda, you've been practicing all day. You want to do these, or you want me to? I'll do them. I'm trying to let you off the hook. Resolution 25/26-81, authorization to make year-end intra-budget transfers. Whereas appropriation transfers may be necessary to permit the payment of obligations of the district incurred during the school year. So we're asking for permission to be able to do that during the summer.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 25/26-81, which would authorize year-end intra-budget transfers.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougall. The board will vote. And that passes 5-0-0.
Thank you. Next, I have Resolution 25/26-82, establish temporary interfund transfer. Whereas the governing board of any school district may direct that monies held in any fund or account may be temporarily transferred to another fund or account of the district for payment of obligations as authorized by Education Code 42603.
Madam President, I move that the board approve item 10.2, resolution 25/26-82 to establish temporary interfund transfers.
Second.
Thank you. We have motion by trustee Lawrence, second by trustee Mayo. And that passes 5-0-0.
Yep, and next we have some ones, I believe that President Ortega mentioned these earlier, but this is Resolution 25/26-85, provisional internship permits. Whereas the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing authorizes the issuance of a provisional internship permit, which is a PIP, to employees who meet the minimum requirements and who require additional time to meet subject matter competence needed to enter an internship program. And we have 5 teachers that we're bringing forward, a multiple subject, 2 special education teachers, 1 science teacher, and 1 math teacher.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 24/2585, provisional internship permits.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougall. And that passes 5-0-0.
Yep. Next, we have Resolution 25/26-86 to authorize local assignment options. Whereas Education Code 44258.2 authorizes the governing board to assign an employee holding a single subject or a standard secondary teaching credential to teach with his or her consent any subject in a departmentalized class below grade 9, provided that the teacher has completed 12 semester units or 6 upper division or graduate units of coursework in that subject. And we have 1 teacher and they're teaching middle school math.
Madam President, I suggest that we approve Board Resolution 25/26-86 to authorize local assignment options according to Education Code.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by trustee McDougall, second by trustee Nzewi. And that passes 5-0-0.
And last one here. And again, it says micro when it has to do with budget. And I don't know how anything in the budget can be micro. So Resolution 20, I may need Brenda to explain that one to me. Resolution 25/26-87, self-certification increase for federal micro purchase threshold during the 2026-2027 year. Whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District is currently bound by the federal micro purchase threshold of $15,000 for applicable transactions funded by federal funds.
Madam President, I move that the board approve item 10.5, resolution 2526-87 for self-certification increase for federal micro purchase threshold for 26-27 fiscal year.
Second.
Thank you. Couldn't get over the mouthful that motion was. Motion made by trustee Lawrence, second by trustee McDougal. And that passes 5-0. Takes us to public employee appointments. I believe that's you, Dr. Clark.
Yeah, we have item 11.1, and Mr. Sheehy is going to take this item.
The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of James Stewart as the principal of Monty Gardens Elementary. James brings 16 years of service to public education as an educator and administrator across Florida and California, including experience working within international baccalaureate schools. James is deeply committed to pairing high-quality instruction with a warm, supportive environment so that every single student feels valued and empowered to thrive. James earned his Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry Education with a minor in philosophy. He earned his Master's of Education, Education Leadership, and Policy Studies. James also earned his graduate certificate in Mind, Brain, and Teaching from Johns Hopkins University. James proudly resides in Clayton with his wife Meg and their Rhodesian Ridgeback Rufio. Outside of his professional endeavors, he and his family can usually be found taking advantage of the beautiful local landscape by spending their weekends hiking together through the East Bay Regional Parks. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move the board approve the appointment of James Stewart as principal at Monty Gardens Elementary School.
Second.
I wanted to second it just so I could say I met James Stewart. And I'm probably one of the few people who know what I'm talking.
Never heard
of. Okay, we have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougal. Was it McDougal or Lawrence? Okay. And that passes 5-0. Good.
Thank you. Good evening, President Mason, Superintendent Clark, trustees of the board. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity and for your trust in me to serve as the next principal of Monty Gardens Elementary School. Monty Gardens has a stellar reputation in the district, and it's rooted in its dedication to the International Baccalaureate Framework. I've always been inspired by the IB mission, fostering curious, compassionate, lifelong learners who are encouraged to think critically and view the world with an open mind. That commitment to inquiry, high expectations, and holistic student growth perfectly mirrors my own core values as an educational leader. To the dedicated staff, families, and students of Monty Gardens, I am eager, incredibly eager, to listen, learn, and partner with you. Together, we will continue to build a joyful, inclusive environment where every single student feels seen, supported, and intellectually challenged. Thank you again to the board and to the district leadership team for this profound honor. I'm excited to get to work.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, 11.2, Ryan, you're going to take that one?
Yes, I am. Thank you. The Human Resources Department is bringing forward for the review and potential approval a second amendment to the employment agreement for the superintendent, Dr. Adam Clark, which is effective through June 30th, 2029. This second amendment provides for a salary increase to provide for pay superintendents in size districts in the area. The annual salary is $354,401.20 plus $24,290 annually to the tax deferred compensation plan, and an advanced degree stipend of $2,000 and a district medical, dental, and vision insurance. With that, I leave this a second amendment in the hands of the board.
Here again. Lucky you. I'm a little concerned about this, as much as I like you, Dr. Clark, and you're a fine man. I'm concerned as how this will look in when you're trying to get a bond measure, when you said you don't have enough money for, like, all of a sudden last year, at the end of the last year of teaching, we had to pay for our own paper. He's getting an 8% raise, whereas everyone else got a 2.3% raise for our COLA. You're taking money away from sites and children. I heard about like $40,000 is being taken away from one school site from another teacher that I spoke to from Valley View Middle. If we're trying to create transparency and trust, I don't know if this is exactly doing that. So I'd really like you to be very cognizant of what you are doing when you approve this, because it won't necessarily look as if you're trusting, as if the community can trust you with money. And I'm just concerned about that. I want to put it out there. You are all wonderful people. You all try very hard to be good stewards and trustees of the school board, and I understand that. I'm just concerned when we don't have librarians in high school and middle school, and you're giving him another raise when we know librarians raise test scores, and we want to raise our test scores, as you talk about all the time here. You're giving him a raise, but we can't afford librarians in middle school and high schools. It's a transparency and trust thing for schools, for the community and for our schools. So I just want you to think about it. You deserve every penny you get, Dr. Clark. I'm not saying that you don't. I just want you to be careful about how you do it. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Clark. I'm here tonight as a community member, but you're also aware that I am a teacher in this district. And I'm here to speak about injustice, because when injustice comes law, resistance is duty. Speaking about the injustice regarding the mismanagement of taxpayer dollars. I am specifically talking about the injustice and seemingly underhanded efforts by our board and superintendent to sneak in a 0.5% pay raise for him when he just received a pay raise about a year ago. And conveniently doing so in the summer when everyone is on break. It appears as though you are hoping that this will go unnoticed. Just like you are hoping that your mismanagement of Measure J funds could be swept under the rug so that the community is not aware of your incompetence. You've tried to interfere with and even dismantle the Public Oversight Committee for Measure J because they are calling you out on your misappropriation of funds. Your mishandling of our tax dollars has cost our district over $2.5 million. And I understand you now have plans to hit taxpayers with another bond measure. Furthermore, you are cutting funds from every school site in our district due to a deficit. My site alone is receiving $40,000 less for this coming school year. And now you want to give a pay raise to our superintendent. How is this proper management? You are funneling money away from students while padding the pocket of our leader. The teaching shortage has been mentioned, and I would like to say that you won't attract new teachers when there's a toxic environment in this district. You are creating a toxic environment when you value one individual over students, when you fail to rectify your mistakes, when you continue to mismanage taxpayer dollars. We are all supposed to be working together for the common good of our community and striving for quality education of our kids. As a community member, I am disappointed in your fiscally irresponsible actions, especially funneling money to one individual. Thank you.
Thank you. And last is Dan Reynolds.
Good evening, y'all. You are here being asked to vote on a raise for the superintendent, a $28,000 raise, an 8.6% raise for 26-27. Other employees, all other employees, teachers, bus drivers, librarians, nurses, resource specialists, custodians, site administrators, electricians, groundskeepers are looking at a raise of 3.8 or 3.6 next year. These people who work tirelessly to serve the students of our community, 3.6%. Why is the superintendent getting a raise more than double what everyone else is getting next year? Superintendent pay increases should not outpace educator pay increases. Doing so does not help students. If you do so, you are contributing to what is a pervasive problem across our entire society, inflating the income of the management class while continuously crying poor when workers seek increases just to help them get by. Inflation is going up. The cost of living is going up. You're going to vote to give the superintendent a big raise, but you refuse to do the same for every other worker in this district. If you can't afford to give it to everyone, you should never give it to the superintendent. You told educators who work directly with our students no for months when we were bargaining and they were asking for a raise. You repeatedly told them no. You directed your bargaining team to tell them no. They weren't worth 8%. No, they weren't worth 7%. No, they weren't worth 6%. No, they weren't worth 5%. And what you're saying here today is the superintendent's worth more than 8%. Did you make the superintendent come to the bargaining table a dozen times for that 8.6%? Did you tell him no? Did you force him to impasse? Did you force him to the brink of a strike by telling him no over and over and over, like you did your educators? By telling him he wasn't worth it? You're doing a bad thing. You're feeding a broken system that funnels our money into overpaid managers while forcing workers to grovel for every penny. Do not do this. This superintendent is not worth an 8% raise unless every other single employee in this district is also going to be valued in the same way. The superintendent does not work 5 times harder than a first-year teacher and should not get paid more than 5 times what they make. The superintendent does not work 11 times harder than a special education assistant and should not be paid 11 times more. I implore you, never give a superintendent a raise greater than you give everyone else. If you can't afford to give it to everyone, don't give it to the superintendent.
Thank you. Okay, that's public comment.
You want me to be the victim? I move that the board approve the proposed second amendment to the employment agreement for the superintendent as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee Nzeli.
May I speak to my motion?
Yeah, you absolutely can speak to your motion.
Okay. I appreciate the comments provided by the public members who have concerns about this increase. I spent some time today and with the help of Mr. Sheehy have gathered some information. And this information is from the AB 1200s. I didn't pull them all for all of our labor groups, but for Medea, I would like to share that in 21-22, Medea received a 4% increase. In 22-23, there was a 4% increase plus a 1.5% increase. In 23-24, there was a 2.5% increase. In 24-25, there was a 9% increase. And in 25-26, there's a 2.3% increase. And during that time, in most of those years, the board, with the superintendent's recommendation, provided full medical benefits to all of our employees versus what had been provided before. And remember, many years ago, there was nothing for medical benefits. The total for the increases is 23.3%. I feel like, I will say this, Dr. Clark joined us in August of 2020. These raises for our members, for our employees across the district have occurred thanks to his careful stewardship of our funds with our CBO and with all of our departments. And yes, with all of our school sites and principals and teachers across the district. I believe that in this situation, the increase is appropriate for our superintendent based on this information and the progress that we have made throughout the district. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say that I appreciate Ms. Mayo's comments, and I would just point out that it's not in tandem. There are years where the superintendent receives no increase or a smaller increase than our members do, and in this year it is that he's receiving a larger one. So it doesn't necessarily go in tandem.
I believe in parity, and that's what the motion is put in here for, that we agree to keep the superintendent on a par with other superintendents locally. But I don't think that we should give more than we're paying the teachers, especially twice the level. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I think, at least in the history of my time on this board has prioritized, in fact, parity. And we started with our employees who work in food service, who were severely and woefully and honestly and morally underpaid. And we've continued to do that with other bargaining units, and continue to do salary studies and continue to just do, like, it is a priority of ours to make sure our employees are paid and to make sure that they are paid at the very least at the, I don't know the right phrase, but the going wage. But no one in our district, when I came to this district, we had people who made under $25 an hour. We had people who made under $20 an hour, and no one is worth that. No one is, I mean, worth that little. No work is worth that little. I hope you know what I'm trying to say. And I'm really proud of this board, like, for all the ways that bargaining from the outside looks like we don't want to pay people. In my experience, this board wants to pay people as much as humanly possible, or as much as the bank account allows, and to have pay parity. And I can say I was in a gathering of Bay Area board members of districts of size. I don't know how that was defined, but people from Oakland, people from San Ramon, people from Hayward, down in San Jose, Antioch and stuff. And I'm meeting people just like in the time when you're just socializing, and they're like, and how much do you all have to cut this year? And I'm just so lucky that for another year, we do not have mass layoffs as other districts around have layoffs. We don't have mass cuts. We're not cutting a gazillion $1 million of like 2020 and 2022, if I'm remembering the years right. And that's due in such large part to the stewardship of our superintendent. I understand totally the looking bad, like from I can't remember how you phrased it, and how whoever, I can't remember, phrased it, but I can understand and appreciate that. But I actually feel very confident in this decision and in my support of paying what the superintendent actually. I don't even think we brought it up closer to what our surrounding superintendents are making, but he's still making less than our surrounding superintendents. And I think he's worth every penny because we are a solvent district, and we are a solvent district in the 3-year outlook and the budget that we're going to pass later. And tough times, we keep saying tough times are ahead, and we're in them now, but we are so lucky to make these really hard decision, not lucky to be, but lucky that we have made the hard decisions that we've made, that we are not suffering like the districts around us and around the Bay. So I'm in total support.
And I would just say that many of the superintendents around that make more than Dr. Clark don't have as big a district. And I will say, as big a district as we have, there's not a school that the kids don't know him on site, that the staff doesn't know him, that he doesn't know the name of the staff. We've seen him more in Bay Point since he's been here than any superintendent ever before. He's out there all the time. He's at meetings all the time. There's not a group of parents that he won't meet with if they're interested in talking to him. I had a group that wanted to talk to him about something. 5 parents showed up in Bay Point, but he showed up and sat there and talked with them. That's things that you can't put a dollar value on in my book. So having said that, we have a motion and a second. I think I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote.
So if I may, I obviously would like to thank this board for their confidence in the work that we do as a governance team. I know when when you're the superintendent, like no matter what, you're gonna make more than everyone else. And I work at the pleasure of the board. I don't have a union to back me up. I don't have, I have my contract, and basically, all you guys have to do is give me a 45-day notice, and I'm out the door. And none of our other employees have that. And I thank Trustee Mayo for bringing up the actual facts that since I've gotten to this district, when we were by the county, we were had a qualified budget, which meant that we were in danger of not being able to pay our bills. Under my 6 years of leadership, and not that I did it all, but we have brought up every single employee in this district to not the top, but in between 50% and the top. And that is something that we have been very proud of. We worked very hard to get to that place. We can look at our substitute custodians and compare what they make in a night to our substitute teachers and see what they make in a day. And I think our substitute teachers make $250 a day, $275, and a substitute custodian, I don't know, might be lucky to break $100 in a shift. So when the teachers got the raise, I don't think the custodians would complain. I think they would think that they deserve that. And it's not easy to lead a district. It's not easy to have the responsibility of 29,000 students on your hands. It's not easy to have the responsibility of 60,000 parents. It's not easy to have the responsibility of 3,800 employees that I'm responsible for all of them. And, I don't do this work alone. I have a great team. All of our units have great employees, and I'm extremely proud to lead this district. I am not the highest paid superintendent by any means in the Bay Area, and although I will say on the record, in California, I would say I would the top 5 best superintendents, and nationally, I do rank nationally as one of the best superintendents in the country. And so Mount Diablo is getting a bargain, and I am proud and privileged to be able to serve the students of this great district. And even though people like to throw darts at our district and our students, the work that I've done here since day one was to flip that narrative. And if you come with facts, our facts stand up. They stand up. Our teachers get step and column. So every single year, even without a negotiated raise, they get a raise. Then you put the raise on there, right? And so they got 2.3 last year. They're going to get 3.4 this year. They're probably going to get 3 next year. So there you go. This is my salary for the next 3-4 years till my contract runs out. So that's how it works. I don't have a me too to the teachers. Many superintendents superintendent just got hired in Livermore with no experience. I have 9 years experience as a superintendent. And every year, actually the first half a year, they get a 5% bump on their salary and so on every year. It's built into the contract. I don't have that. So when our teachers got a 9% raise, I took a 7% raise, or I think it was 6.5. So anyway, I stand by the raise. Thank you, board, for your support and your faith in me. I will continue to serve you as I have been all the time, and extremely proud to be here for the next 3 to 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board reports. Who wants to go first?
So there have been fewer meetings scheduled. And so I did attend the Budget Advisory Committee meeting. I believe the date was June 16th. The quorum was met and the proposed budget was discussed, and explanations were provided by our staff members regarding the budget. And there was a discussion about the fall meetings. And then I just want to remind everyone that on July 25th, there's the parent conference at Loma Vista Adult Education Center. It has another name. That name is just stuck in my brain. It will also include community resource providers during a lunch break, and include a backpack giveaway. So I hope to see everybody at that event. It's one of my favorite activities to start the year. Thank you.
I'm so glad it's the end of the school year ended well. We're about to go on a 8-week, something like that break, and that's really nice. I need a moment. We don't come back till the middle of August. Maybe. I know that. Well, they're here all the time. I had this. I didn't write it down, so bear with my journey here. But I'm reflecting on the meeting up until this moment, and a couple weeks ago, we're in the midst of the state budget. The governor and the legislature are negotiating right now. They have until they need 7. Let's see, the 30th is on Tuesday, so they have to have a budget in print by Saturday. 72 hours, and before they can vote on it. And one of the things that's in the governor's proposal, and there's a purpose to me telling this. In my day job, I work on early childhood education policy, and that's a big part of the budget, early childhood education. And the governor put in the proposal to put California state preschool program, which is our public preschool program, which exists in both community-based settings. So if you see a preschool, it could be any preschool that you see in your community, it might be also a California state preschool. And school districts also run California state preschool programs. And long ago, they used to be together, but long ago, they separated all early childhood education out of Prop 98. So I'm getting there. Okay, I'm almost there. So the governor has proposed putting state preschool back in Prop 98. As childcare advocates, we're kind of agnostic. But the California School Board Association, our body, sent out this panicky email in the middle of the night a couple weeks ago saying, protect Prop 98. How awful to let preschool take money from the intent of Prop 98 of non-LEA sponsored preschools. And where I'm going with this, it's the same children. It's the same 3 and 4-year-olds, whether they're attending state preschool at Oakland Unified Child Development Programs or at Miss Rose's daycare. Like, these are people I know. It's the same. Those are the same children. But it's an us versus them. That's how it's been framed. And again, I'm agnostic. It doesn't matter if it's in Prop 98 or not. Just fund it. That's all we care about. And we've heard a lot over the last 6 months. We've created this us versus it's us and them. I'll just be explicit in the whole Bancroft thing. It's this us versus them, whether it's us Bancroft versus Woodside or us TWI at Bancroft versus regular English only education. And that just hurts our children. Like that just gets us nowhere. And honestly, it's dumb. Like there's no reason for this. It's the same children. To a lot of people's disbelief, this I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure I can speak for everyone on the board. We are guided, and our North Star is what is best for children. It may not seem like that sometimes from the outside. Sometimes you may not realize we may know more than you know, and not everything is public always. And you have to choose to trust that we're just making these decisions based on what we believe is best for children. It's literally what we're doing. It's what I'm doing. I'm not going to put words in other people's mouths. And what I'm not going to be part of is an us versus them ever. And we are here for every child, everyone. Everyone is valued. Sometimes things happen that hurt. And sometimes as a parent, it's our job to help our children through that. And they're just going to feed off our energy. So I know when something bad has happened that could be happening for my own child, we do a very good job of making sure she feels secure and safe and happy. Like if we as adults have the anxiety, I work very hard not to pass that on to my child. And I encourage that when something what I know is deep and disturbing and hard, extremely hard, happens to children in our district. But we as the adults, it's our job to make it okay for them and know that they're going to be okay. So that was a long journey that maybe had two different endings. I hope everyone has the people who do get to have summer have a fabulous summer. The people who don't get to have summer, but get to have all the other people away. So then maybe you do have a good summer. You have a good summer, a quiet summer. And I know everyone comes back July something. It's on my calendar, like when everybody at school comes back or the administrators at school come back and then the teachers follow. But I hope you all have peace and rest and wellness and coolness all summer.
I would just briefly say I had the opportunity to represent the board at the Northgate graduation. I wasn't here at the last meeting. And, one, I was a little rusty since it'd been a few years since I had done that, but it was also the unique experience of having the opportunity to hand a diploma to my own daughter, which is a reminder of why we do the work that we do here. It was also really fun since, I've coached and known so many of her friends throughout the years, and to just get to see that and what a fantastic experience. And I think back to taking my daughter. We've had a family tradition that actually dates back to my oldest. I missed his first day of kindergarten because I was running for school board and there was a debate that day. And so we started a tradition of me picking the kids, whichever kid was going. So I've picked each of my kids up from the first day of kindergarten, taking them to lunch. I still remember, taking my daughter to Panera, the finest lunch imaginable. Where she got mac and cheese. She was a cheap date then. And to see that journey of going from kindergarten through graduation, just such a special experience, and to be able to celebrate it, with my own family, as well as the friends and family of so many of hers. And it was just such a great celebration of our educational work. So thank you.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, June 10th, both Brian and I were out of town and we attended remotely. I from Santa Ana, he from LA. I'll have to say that the sound quality from the podium microphone into the cell phone was very poor. And in fact, I think Brian left because it was poor. but I would say that I'm going to avoid doing the remote control, remote meetings, because until the technology improves, it's not a good way to attend the meeting. On the 16th of June, I, along with Linda, went to the Budget Advisory Committee, and they did have the quorum. There was good discussion and questions from the committee members. I noted that Gustavo Aguilera was not there, unfortunately. On the 22nd, I attended a Connect Concord Collaborative meeting, which is a community association of nonprofits, churches, city leaders, and business people who are working together so people can flourish in the city of Concord. I found it very interesting, kind of like the old network meetings we go to, but much improved. And on the 23rd, yesterday morning, attended the bond consultant briefing on the proposed bond. And I advocated for a pause on the bond until 2028, as some of our public commenters have made. And I don't know how the indications were from the other board members, so I would be interested in finding about that. Are we going to pause or are we going to proceed? Thank you.
Well, there hasn't been a lot going on. I couldn't get in too much trouble, Dr. Clark. I went out and visited a couple of after-school programs, wanted to see how the attendance was. Looked pretty good. I have to say, and it's not just after-school program, though. It's like 100 degrees and 5 doors are open, air conditioner going full blast, and no kids in the room. Kids were outside playing, but that was, they were having a good time. They looked safe. Then for all last week and part of the week before, I represent Mount Diablo Unified School District on the Keller Canyon Mitigation Fund. There's a fund set up by us having the good fortune to have the dump in our backyard. And so each year we give out grants to community foundations and some to the school district. And so I got to sit there from 8 to 5 and listen to everybody come in and ask for money, knowing that it's kind of like being here, knowing that we didn't have enough money to meet everybody's needs, but we're going to do the best we can. And came by this afternoon and they were having a staff barbecue here, and just kudos to our food department. They always hit it out of the park. It was good food, it was fun times, and it was really nice atmosphere that I never saw anything like that prior to you being Dr. Clark, being here, Dr. Clark. So with that, I'll pass it off to you.
I don't have much tonight, but I do have a couple of before I talk some business. I want to we're going to honor Dorothy Weisenberger a little bit. So Dorothy is an incredible person. I'm not surprised. I had the opportunity to work with her mom in a previous place, and her mom was such an advocate for all the students at the school. She was our college and career counselor, and she would help any kid try to find their place of where they were going to go after high school. So I had no idea when I got here that there was that connection, but our parents really do matter, and they help really set the foundation for what we become. So Eloise, I'm sure you're extremely proud of Dorothy. So Dorothy has been doing the work with the CAC, which is the Community Advisory Committee. It's a mandated committee that we have to have. And Dorothy's work really, she's focused on student outcomes and equitable access for all students. For over 2 decades, her efforts have been guided, to really join and to lead the Community Advisory Committee. She joined in 2001. I don't want to age anybody, but if you're doing math, that's like 25 years ago. So after serving as co-chair, Dorothy stepped into the role of chair in 2013, bringing a wealth of experience and deep-seated passion for advocacy to the position. As a parent of 4 district graduates, Dorothy's commitment is rooted in her own journey, raising 4 children, 2 with significant complex medical disabilities and 2 with dyslexia. But she has nurtured them into independent, kind, and successful adults. Her personal experience has really fueled her professional mission, particularly in her advocacy for evidence-based practices that have improved outcomes for students with dyslexia. Dorothy's influence extends far beyond our district. Each year, she represents our community in Sacramento, ensuring that legislators hear directly from those who with lived experience. Her voice has been instrumental in shaping laws and supporting the rights of individuals with disabilities to thrive and live with dignity. Believing that every child deserves a life full of joy beyond the clinical requirements of their care, Dorothy and her husband Tom have generously donated their time and resources to create inclusive holiday traditions by hosting the annual sensory-friendly holiday events, complete with Dorothy and Tom as Mr. and Mrs. Santa. They have provided families with unique, accessible space to celebrate in whatever way works best for their children. She's a tireless resource for our community. She has guided countless families through the complexities of special education. She has empowered parents to navigate the intricate web of requirements and rights, teaching them how to become the strongest possible advocates for their own children. While Dorothy has recently transitioned to a new chapter as a parent navigator for the Care Parent Network, her impact remains. In this role, she continues to support families throughout Contra Costa County, sharing their expertise in the IEP process and beyond. So, while we know this is not a final farewell, it is essential that we pause to recognize Dorothy's extraordinary years of dedicated service. And so with that, I just have a small little token and a certificate. You would like to. Dorothy standing there, I think it's there. No, she doesn't like this stuff. She's going to take a wonderful picture of it. Oh, wow.
First, I want to say thank you. But this is really out of my comfort zone, that those that know me very well. I asked for this not to happen, but with that said, I really do care about this district immensely. For all students, for the teachers, for everybody that puts the hours in and day out. It's time to go. It really is. I will be the past chair. I will help for the history purposes to keep the community advisory committee going. And I'll still be out there helping families, but it is time for us to pass the baton. And I've been ready to for a few years, but it just didn't happen. I think COVID got in the way a little bit. But my last kid graduated in 2024. My other son just got back from studying abroad. I've got so many things going on in our lives, whether the good and the bad and the ugly, but I'm going to miss this place as far as the things that I've done, but I am very proud to have been here and served for these families, and I will continue to do my best. Thank you.
So just as we're on happy celebratory things, I want to say something because Mark Jones is in the room, and you know, we had this luncheon today, barbecue, and I just have to tell you that you know, the Teamsters, but I'm going to talk specifically about the food service people, that they are some of the most professional dedicated employees that I see in this district. And I tell them every time I go to a school, the very first place I go is to the cafeteria. And every single time that I go to those cafeterias, I find someone or a team of people who are proud, who are happy, and who take their job extremely serious, but also have students at their North Star. And to see them setting up the lunch today and taking pictures, formal pictures of their product, but then one another, it's really a testament. So I could say that about custodians. I could say that about just all kinds of folks. But since you're here and we don't see you too often, which is okay, it's okay though. Yes, 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 yes. So just yeah. Yes, I just wouldn't. I wanted to really take a moment to recognize that, and then just just as we wrap up this year, just everyone has worked extremely hard to meet the very high goals that we've set for our students. Um, when I got here 6 years ago, my very first meeting with the administrators, I looked at our dashboard and I said some things are going to change, and if we truly are committed to changing outcomes for students, then we're going to have to shift a culture that focuses on the needs of adults and shift that culture to focusing on the needs of kids. And I warned them that it would not be easy because you are fighting a system. And I'm so proud how everyone has come together and they've worked to really make the student experience the very best. And it really does take everybody. If you have a principal who's on board, that's great. But then you got to have office managers and office staff who's on board, teachers who are on board, cafeteria workers, custodians, instructional aides. Everyone has to be on the same page with supporting those students, and that's the culture that we are working to create in Mount Diablo. And as we start to release our data, and yes, I will be sending data home this summer to our families about how our students did, you are going to notice that we improved in many areas. Chronic absenteeism, across the board, we improved. Suspension rates, we improved. The way that there's a caring adult at every campus for our students, those numbers and percentages have improved. And so there's so much great work happening. It disappoints me sometimes when people don't get their way and then all of a sudden they got to, throw darts and things like that. But I understand that's the nature of the beast. But this is a great place for kids. It's a great place to work. I don't care what unit you belong to or what your job is. This is a wonderful place to work. We don't have to hire many people this year because guess what? People are staying here, and that really and that is really important to me. I know that's important to this board. So, and just lastly, we have been looking at we have been discussing the bond, and unless I hear differently from the board, um, I'm going to recommend that we pause till 28. I mean, it was great to hear someone from the Tax Association saying that, maybe they may be open to supporting something like that in 28. I think we heard that from the dais here, that they would be interested in supporting it in 28. Um, we're in a war. There's $7 gallons of gas. There's no end in sight to the inflation that is just going through the roof. And I'm only the superintendent. I can't control that, but our economy and our dollars are shrinking, and this probably is not the right time to go out and ask our community to work against all those things that I just named and support a bond. So, but what's going to happen is we're going to have HVACs that fail. We're going to have pipes that burst. we're going to have things that happen. And I just hope that Linda Ortega understands that Melanie, who's sitting right behind you, and her team are working extremely hard, and so are Teamsters on working extremely hard to address those things. And it does not mean that we don't respect our employees or we don't care about our kids because an HVAC goes out. And so we are gonna work really hard to come up with a list of things in this district that are working and things in this district that are not working, and really share those priorities over the next 18 months so that it becomes very obvious that we need a bond to help improve our facilities, some of which have been around for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. So with that said, that concludes my report. I'm gonna miss this board until what'd you say, mid-August? We're coming back, but rest assured the work is going to continue to happen, and I'm available all summer if any of you have any questions or concerns or want to come talk about data and the new Reveal math curriculum or any of those things. I'd be happy to share and discuss those things with you. But thank you for your support, and I appreciate the vote of confidence that you all have in me. Thank you.
Well, you know, I'll be in the garden. Anytime you want to come out, you can come out to the garden. Okay, consent agenda.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So quiet there. Okay, we have a motion by trustee Lawrence, a second by trustee McDougall. It didn't take your, Mr. Lawrence, it didn't take your vote. There you go. And that passes 5-0-0. Takes us to business in action. Absolutely.
56 items on consent agenda was a lot to read.
Yes, it was.
Summer.
Was. Business items. Okay, first thing, review and potential approval of Mount Diablo Unified 2026-27 Local Control Accountability Plan, otherwise known as the LCAP and LCAP Federal Addendum.
You know, as they're coming up, as I spoke earlier, just about the coherence and folks really working hard to do the right thing around our students. This is the third year of this LCAP, and I've said this before, they could have just submitted our regular LCAP and been fine. However, under the guidance of Ms. Filios, like every word in this LCAP has been looked at, has been talked about. Every metric, every student group, every action has been mulled over and over and over. And with our new trustee data person there, just incredible work that has taken place for this LCAP. So thank you. Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Good evening, President Mason, Dr. Clark, Board of Trustees. We are back again at this board meeting to bring for your approval our local control accountability plan. We finalized all the information in it based on our prior meeting and our public hearing. Reminder, this is a 3-year plan, and as Dr. Clark said, we are moving into our third year of this plan. The plan is annually updated, and so that's what we have been doing over the last week in response to our public hearing. We have been responding to the community and the public around the feedback that they gave us based on being able to view the draft of our plan. So you all have seen these goals. We love these goals. We think they're strong and comprehensive, and they really have been the guiding light of our work over the past 2 years. You know, I know you saw last week, Catherine Fireman talked a little bit about our reclass data last week. I wasn't here, I was out of town. But that's just one of the huge highlights of the work we've been doing. And when we come back in the fall, you're going to hear from Dr. Clark some really amazing things that we did by setting goals and using our resources to reach those goals. And so that's really, really exciting for us. What I also want to make sure the community knows and what the board knows and what our staff knows is if you want to take a look at our LCAP plan, it is on the website. You can find it right here, but also for those of you that are like me and impatient, you can go to that little search button in the corner and put a capital LCAP and it will pop right up. So without further ado, I'm going to have our team share a few things with you tonight before we move for approval. Thank you.
Right. So just a reminder that our LCAP is our 3-year strategic plan for improving our student outcomes and addressing academic, social, emotional, and equity needs of all of our students. So as you vote tonight, you'll be ending the year 2 and launching our year 3 of our 3-year LCAP. And another reminder that our plan aligns our district goals, our actions, services, and our expenditures, supporting all of our different student groups, especially paying attention to our student groups with the greatest needs. That is guided by California's state priorities, and our LCAP will continue to serve as our roadmap for all of our continuous improvement, accountability, and the way we engage with our accountability partners.
A required part of the LCAP development process includes community engagement. One way that we received information from our community, including parents and families, staff, and students, was through a survey. This slide shows the dates of the surveys, the number of responses, and sample questions and ratings. Results for the surveys are available through the links on this slide. This slide shows some highlights of our survey results, including top priorities for our parents, families, and community members, as well as our students in grades 5 through 12. Many of these priorities are addressed in our LCAP actions. We also engaged our community through our advisory group meetings with APAC, CAC, DLAC, PAC, and our Student Advisory Committee. We utilized a listening session format during some of the advisory meetings, which was positively received. We plan to utilize listening sessions in the fall of 2026 and spring of 2027 to gather input and feedback from our parents, families, community members, labor partners, and students as we develop a new 3-year LCAP for 27-28. Since the draft plan was brought forward for public hearing on June 10th, some modifications have been made based on community feedback and feedback from the reviewers at the Contra Costa County Office of Education. These changes have been noted in the draft plan being considered for approval. Anything that has been changed or deleted has been struck through, and anything that has been added is highlighted in yellow. A few changes include metrics in goals 1, 2, and 3 were streamlined in the improved services section. We added data metrics and summary statements to the prompt 3 effectiveness responses for goals 3, 4, and 5. And now this is a review of the budget overview that was shown at the June 10th public hearing. This information on the budget is included in the budget overview for parents section, which is the first section of the LCAP. Again, this shows the total funding to the district, the total portion that comes from LCFF funds, and the total portion of LCFF funds that are supplemental and concentration grants, which totals about 7% of the district's total budget. Included in our LCAP budgeted expenditures are about $65 million worth of expenditures. In addition to the LCAP plan, we are also bringing forward our Local Control and Accountability Plan Every Student Succeeds Act federal addendum for board approval. The federal addendum is meant to supplement to the LCAP to ensure that our district can meet the local education agency plan provisions of the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. It helps to share the story of how federal funding, in conjunction with other funding sources, is being used to meet the goals in the LCAP. The LCAP federal addendum template was originally completed and submitted to the California Department of Education in 2019. Districts are encouraged to review the LCAP federal addendum annually with their LCAP, and we have updated the federal addendum to align with our current work.
Are there any questions or comments from the board at this time? Okay, we'll leave it in the hands of the boards. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate all the work that has gone into this plan. I know you have been eating, sleeping, drinking. Do you have a bed here? As some children like to ask of their teachers and their principals. I did have one question, and it's silly. On this particular document, why are the input fields different colors? There's what, a kind of a blue, there's a pink and a beige. Is it just the
Those are, I
formatting?
think, I have a black and white copy, but when we were completing that, I think that is to designate the different title funding sources. So the
Okay.
different funding sources have different colors.
Okay.
I believe that's the designation.
I don't have any questions.
I would also like to thank you for doing this over 2 sessions. It gives us time to digest it, and there's a lot of information there. So we do appreciate all the work you put into this. And it helps us to have time to absorb it and to think about it. So thank you.
I also appreciate the comments provided in this format, even though Mr. Lawrence prefers them digital.
It was helpful. It was helpful.
I don't have a big screen monitor at home.
I move to approve the Mount Diablo Unified 26-27 Local Control Accountability Plan and LCAP Federal Addendum as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Zay, second by trustee McDougall. The board will vote. And that passes 5-0.
I love how you're all
Thank you for
looking
your-
as though it's a moment of suspense.
Yeah. 18.2, review and potential adoption of the Mount Diablo Unified School District proposed budget 2026-2027.
Yeah, Mr. Vargas.
What's your response?
So I would imagine they're referring to the carryover from LCFF supplemental dollars. And so a couple of years back, we increased the allocation because we had such a large carryover amount. So as we move through those couple of years, we're spending down basically that fund balance of the LCAP supplemental dollars. And so that's the adjustment that more than likely the public comment is related to, because the allocation amount dropped to the probably pretty close to what it was 2 years ago. But that was our effort to spend down the carryover of the supplemental dollars.
I would, I think those of us who've looked at budgets and public education over the years have learned that in the positive years that there will be rainy days ahead, rainy years ahead. I think this is generally a pretty positive budget outlook. I think even potentially this year, depending on how things go with a lot of our tax revenue in California is derived from like the stock market, and with SpaceX and other companies potentially going public, I think we could have a really strong year. But I would just, as a note of caution for us to be very careful in the following years, because as quickly as things can go up, they can go down. And I think also that I guess it's still being negotiated, but I have a lot of concerns about the so-called billionaire tax being on the ballot in November, because I think there could be some very negative consequences in terms of how much tax revenue we collect in the state of California.
Comments or
I move to adopt the 2026-27 proposed budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Zawi and a second by trustee Mayo. We'll vote now. And that passes 500. Okay, and so next, I guess you're staying right there for 18.3, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-80 education protection account, EPA.
Good
Go.
evening. This resolution is related to the budget adoption as well. It requires districts to identify the amounts budgeted for the upcoming fiscal year in relation to certificated salaries and benefits. Any questions? I can take them.
Madam President, I move the board approve item 18.3, resolution 2526-80, education protection account.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, with motion by trustee Lawrence, a second by trustee McDougall. The board will now vote. And that passes 500. Takes us to 18.4, review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-83, designating certain general funds as committed fund balance. Again, they're there to answer any questions, or I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 25/26-83, designating certain general funds as committed fund balance.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee Mayo. The board will vote. And that passes 500. Thank you. 18.5, conduct a public hearing and review and potential approval of special education local plan area, otherwise known as the SELPA, service and budget plans 2026. Public hearing open. Didn't mess up this time. Going once, going twice. Public hearing closed.
All right, thank you. I think our SELPA team just left, so that's working out well. So this is a routine document. We're required to update the budget plan and the service plan every year in order that we guarantee that we are spending all of our money appropriately and offering all of the right services. It's really more relevant if we were to be a multi-district SELPA, when it's really an effort to be transparent with their member districts, how much money is generated by each district and how much is dispersed back to each district, with the idea that SELPA is a local plan area designed to serve a group of children in smaller districts. As a single district, it's all ours. So the important parts about this are the budget part, where our funds are coming in from. And as you can see, our state aid is about 22% of the budget. Our general fund contribution is about 66% of the budget, and the rest is made up of federal funds in smaller different pots. So we are seeing increases in special education funding at both federal and state level, but certainly not keeping pace with inflation and benefit costs. You can see on the budget side that salaries make up the overwhelming portion of that budget, with about 70%, and then about 23% is made up by our contracted services, just because of the way California manages agency providers here. And then the service plan is simply a recitation of CalPADS codes. We don't get to be creative or change them. And of course, it has the other category, so we can make sure that children get what they need. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Any questions about our SELPA budget? If there's no questions, I entertain a motion.
I move the board approve the 26-27 proposed special education local plan area, SELPA, as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Nzewi. The board will now vote.
Thanks.
And that passes 500.
Thank you to
Yes.
the special ed team and the SELPA.
That takes us to 18.6, review and potential approval of tentative agreement between clerical, secretarial, Secretarial Technical CST Local 1 and Mount Diablo Unified School District for reopeners in the 2024 to 2027 collective bargaining agreement. And Ryan will be here for this.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm presenting for the board's review and potential approval a tentative agreement on the reopeners in the 24-27 collective bargaining agreement with CST. I'd like to extend a special thank you to CST leadership, specifically Leo Kelly, Leticia Casada, and Nicole Nakasato for their continued collaboration, professionalism, and commitment to working together in the best interest of our employees and our students in the district. This agreement will conclude negotiations and fully close the contract through June 30th, 2027. And with that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
I move to approve the tentative agreement between Clerical Secretarial Technical CST Local 1 and Mount Diablo Unified School District for the reopeners in the 2024 to 2027 collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Nzewi, a second by trustee McDougal. Board will vote. And that passes 5-0-0. You're going to do the next one as well?
I am.
Go for it.
I am. All right, I'm excited to present for the board's review and potential approval a tentative agreement that incorporates adult education certificated instructors and coordinators into the Mount Diablo Education Association collective bargaining agreement. The tentative agreement is attached to tonight's agenda. Since the agenda was published, a typo was identified in Article 31.1.7. I've discussed this correction with Medea, and both parties agree that the section should read part-time adult school teachers are those assigned to work less than 30 hours per week and less than 1,050 hours per year. I want to thank both parties for their work towards this tentative agreement, as this is the first contract that our certificated adult educators and coordinators are part of. And with that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the tentative agreement between Mount Diablo Education Association and Mount Diablo Unified School District, incorporating adult education certificated instructors and coordinators into the collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a
Recognizing the corrected typo.
okay, motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee McDougal.
Congratulations on this. That was taking two different animals and moving them together. So
I think it's the change in there. Okay, there we go. All right, that passes 5-0-0. Okay. You're on a roll. Keep going.
Tonight, I'm presenting for the board's review and potential approval a tentative agreement on the 26-29 collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 1, number 856. I'd like to thank the entire Teamsters and district negotiation teams, along with our labor representative, Mark Jones, and Ed Moore, who were here earlier this evening. The teams truly work together on making sure that this agreement is committed to fiscal responsibility, positive labor relations, and long-term stability, while striving to offer competitive compensation and a positive working environment for all of our employees in Mount Diablo Unified School District. This agreement closes the contract fully through June 30th, 2029. With that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move the board approve the tentative agreement between Teamsters Local Union number 856 and the Mount Diablo Unified School District for the 2026-2029 collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee Nzewi. And that passes 5-0-0. And got one more, right? Go ahead.
All right, and finally, I continue with my excitement as I bring forward for the board's review and potential approval the memorandum of understanding that includes two new job descriptions with CST. This was a collaborative effort and to review our Senior Secretary, Administrative Secretary 1, and Administrative Secretary 2 job descriptions and align support in the departments in which the positions serve. After the completion of the study, our recommendation is that the Senior Secretary position be eliminated and this Administrative Secretary 1 and 2 positions receive updated job descriptions, and those individuals that were part of the study in the Senior Secretary position be reclassified either into the Admin Secretary 1 or the Admin Secretary 2 as outlined in the MOU. With that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Okay.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding for the classification study between CST Local 1 and Mount Diablo Unified School District and the updated job descriptions for 2 classifications.
Second.
A motion by trustee Zawi, a second by trustee Lawrence. Yeah, and that passes 500.
Madam President, I would
Yes.
just like to thank the negotiation teams. There were multiple teams involved in this. Some of them were the same people, some of them were different, and all of the different teams for the extensive work that resulted in successful agreements. And we appreciate all of your efforts.
Thank you. Okay. 1810, review and potential approval of the 2025-26 school site comprehensive school safety plan for Oak Grove Middle School.
Good evening. I'm presenting for your review and potential approval the 25-26 school safety plan for Oak Grove Middle School. Due to a technical issue, we were not able to bring this plan forward with the other plans. So
I'm just glad we didn't make them come sit here to the end of the meeting. Okay.
I move to approve the 25-26 Oak Grove Middle School Site Comprehensive School Safety Plan.
Second.
Motion by trustee Zawi, second by trustee McDougall. And that passes 500. 1811, looks like you're with us for a little while now. Review and potential approval of school plans for student achievement for Ayers Elementary, Diablo View Middle, Fair Oaks Elementary, Foothill Middle, Highlands Elementary, Mountain View Elementary, Pleasant Hill Middle, Rio Vista Elementary, Silverwood Elementary, Strandwood Elementary, Walnut Acres Elementary, Woodside Elementary, and Ignacio Valley High School.
yes, I love putting on a tongue twister for the motions for you right toward the end. Traditionally in our district, our SIPSA plans have been developed and approved in the fall. However, this year I offered the opportunity for volunteer school sites to pilot a spring SIPSA process following budget development with the new budget numbers for the year and also more in line with our LCAP approval process. And so we actually, I think, had 15 schools that joined me on this pilot, and 2 more will be coming in August. But these are the 13 schools that conducted a SIPSA development process in the spring with their school site councils, and we're bringing forward their plans. So they will be able to open the school year with their updated plans.
Do we have to say out loud all the schools? Thank you. Is that true? I'm looking at our, do we have to?
You can say as described in the item.
Thank you. We have moved to approve the 2026-2027 school plans for student achievement for the school plan. Oh, it says it twice. Sorry. For the school plans for student achievement for all of the schools as described in the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
We have motion by trustee Zawi, second by trustee Lawrence. Yeah.
To do this.
Okay.
Thank you. And I appreciate their hard
passes.
work and their school site council's hard work.
500. And we on 1812, review and potential approval of consolidated application and reporting, otherwise known as CARS application for federal funding for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV for 2026-27.
Yes, so we are seeking approval of the consolidated application so that we may receive these title funds from the state to continue supporting our work. It will be Title I, Title II, Title III English Learner, and Title III Immigrant, and Title IV. So the federal monies, the state, we apply through the state for the federal
Through
funds.
the fund, okay.
Mhm.
Is this an easy application to fill out?
This part's easy. There are usually like 20 reports in each reporting cycle.
Madam President, I'd like to move that we approve consolidated application reporting CARS application for federal funding for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV for 2026 and 2027.
Second.
We have motion by trustee McDougal, second by trustee Mayo. Board will vote now. And that passes 500. And 18.13, review and potential approval of resolution 25/2688, delegating authority to the superintendent for continuing operations during summer months in advance of the board meeting on August 11th, 2026.
Thank you. Yeah. You've read the resolution, so I don't need to read it because you.
I just did it. Oh, that was nice of
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah,
So we can vote on it now.
yeah, absolutely. Unless
Or else nothing
I can always
happens.
call a special meeting in the middle of summer. If you like.
I move to approve Resolution 252688, delegating authority to superintendent or designees for continuing operations during summer months from June 25th tomorrow through August 11th, 2026, the day before our next board meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Zawi, second by trustee McDougal. And that passes 500. Anybody want to extend the meeting and just hang around for a while? Because we have a lot of stuff to sign.
Is there any food in the refrigerator?
Oh, I guess not. Okay, but that meeting adjourned. Thank you guys.